All right, guys. Welcome back to No Filter MMA. This is your boy BJ, and I am back with another discussion video, man. I'm here with my boy. I'm here with my boy Austin. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Man, it's the same shit, dude. Same shit, different day, bro.
I hear you.
So my boy Austin hits me up. He says, "Man, let's just kick it, man. Let's do a podcast. Let's talk anything MMA, man." And we've actually got a lot to talk about. If you want to be honest, isn't that right, Austin?
Yeah, especially after this weekend's last card.
Oh my gosh, man. So what were your biggest takeaways from this card? There were some good fights on this card, man.
Yeah.
A couple of upsets a couple of upsets here and there, but tell me what you think.
Well, of course, the biggest thing I wanted to defend was Curtis Blades. He's getting a lot of backlash, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, as MMA fans, especially, this sport's been going on for really hardcore for about 20 years now. Like, we're not in the early stages anymore, so us MMA fans should be used to people that fight the way that Curtis Blades fight. Like, you got Khabib, you got Curtis, of course, you had DC. I mean, this sport is dominated by high-level wrestlers. Matt Hughes, GSP, that's who dominates this sport, and more times than not. And it just doesn't make any sense, especially with the Dana White backlash. He said that, Curtis was talking all that shit before the fight, and now he looks stupid. I'm like, how does he look stupid? I mean, before the last round, Curtis was whooping, Volkov's ass. I mean, he was just manhandling him, and he was sticking straight to the game plan. He didn't get a finish, but, he still got a solid victory against probably arguably the best technical striker in the heavyweight division. I mean, what more can you expect?
Yeah, man. I mean, coming from that wrestler heavy background, man, you have to use that. You know what I'm saying? Like, does he really expect? Like, this is my question, man. Like, did Dana really expect Curtis Blades to go out here and not use one of his most sharpened weapons against somebody like Alexander Volkov? I mean, that's just like the question that I wanted to ask Dana was, well, what the fuck did you expect? Like,
yeah.
You're talking one of the best strikers in the division with Alexander Volkov, and you expected Curtis Blades to go out here and play Volkov's game? Fuck, no, that's a very dangerous game with Alexander Volkov. Like, that's an extremely dangerous game. You don't go out there and play with that shit. Just like any other fight, just like Conor. Conor went out there first. Khabib went out there and took Conor down. Of course he's going to. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't get what the issue from Dana White was. I guess he doesn't like to see people wrestle fuck, but I mean, wrestlers, man, you can't be mad because go be the promoter of boxing or something, then, dude.
Exactly.
I didn't get it, bro.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because he was, Curtis was coming off of that win against Junior Dos Santos, and he finished him with strikes, but people fail to realize, like, that's not Curtis's, go-to. Curtis landed a good shot, and he capitalized.
Right.
But he he was trying for the takedown multiple times in that fight, especially the first round. He couldn't get Junior Dos Santos down. He's got fantastic takedown defense. So, he just caught Junior Dos Santos expecting the takedown. That's how you land the strikes, just like Khabib. Conor was expecting the takedown. That's how Khabib dropped him. It's the same thing. This has always been Curtis's Blades, bread and butter since day one.
Yeah, man. And like I said, dude, Alexander Volkov had a size advantage. He was much bigger than Curtis Blades. Those strikes, man, over time, if Curtis Blades would have stood and traded on the feet with Alexander, it would have been a matter of time before those straight shots, those straight pinpointed shots of Volkov would have started getting through. You know what I'm saying? And, then we would have seen a completely different fight. You know what I'm saying? So, if I was Curtis Blades, when you're this close to it, like, Curtis Blades has to be perfect. He has to be perfect, bro. Like, when you're looking at the top echelon of this division, you know what I'm saying? You look at Stipe, you look at Ngannou, you look at DC, and they're still throwing Verdum and JDS. They're still throwing these high, Derek Lewis, all these guys. Overeem, yeah, Volkov. You know what I'm saying? When you got these guys, man, and you've got Curtis Blades, someone who has wins over, who has fought or have beat a lot of the guys at the top of this division and still hasn't had that title shot yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Curtis Blades would have lost to Alexander Volkov, he could have kissed any dream of a title goodbye, of a title fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, Curtis Blades has to go out here and secure a win. Like, he has to secure wins just so that he can't be denied that title shot.
Yeah, I mean, you see it happen so many times, and especially the UFC. You get these guys that go on big winning streaks, and they never get a shot, you know, because they go for the money draw. And I think what hurts Curtis the most is his losses to Francis. You know, if Francis would lose, you know, here sooner or later, that would tremendously help Curtis's chances of getting a title shot. But since he's got finished by Francis once, and the first time it was a doctor's stoppage. But with Francis riding the streak that he's riding, you know, it's just going to be hard to get a title shot before he will.
Exactly. So, and it definitely would not help Curtis Blades if he would have got beat by Volkov, because that would have put Volkov. That would have put him. That probably would have put Volkov in a fight with Ngannou.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that now as much, you know, as crazy as that sounds, Volkov versus Ngannou.
That's a great fight.
I would love to see it, dude. Yeah. I would fucking love to see somebody who is big, for one. So, you know, I mean, Jairzinho was not close. He wasn't close. You have to have size to fight somebody like Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? Volkov, on the other hand, start throwing them shots down the middle. You know what I'm saying? Utilizing that footwork, that head movement, man. That'd be a good fight. It could be a good fight, or it could go up in smoke in 5 seconds and be done and over with. You know, I mean,
but the thing that would, you know, suit Volkov in that fight is the fact that Francis isn't going to try to take him to the ground. You know? Right. Francis has good, you know, he has decent ground skills, but he doesn't like doing that because he knows his gas tank can't keep up with that type of pressure. So that'd make a very interesting fight between them two, because you know it's just going to be stand up the whole time. It's either going to be, is Francis going to rush in and go for the knockout, or is Volkov going to try to put on a striking clinic? Because if it escapes that first round, you know, Volkov's going to start taking over.
Well, as we saw, you know, somebody who can take a punch and fire back hard shots like Stipe, that's the key to really, you know, is to strip his confidence. If you strip Ngannou's confidence away, you know what I'm saying? We know he's fragile. We know he's fragile. You know what I'm saying? And if you strip that confidence away, you eat a couple of them shots, man, and then you keep on coming and you hit him back. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have to hit Ngannou back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't stand just there.
Just keep swinging.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know what Jairzinho was doing. I mean, it wasn't much he could do. He was so small compared to Francis, man. Like,
and Francis just bum rushed him. You know.
Right. Hell yeah, man. But besides, wash all that bullshit away, man. Like, I just scratched myself on my brand new 48-hour tattoo. Oh my God. But anyway, you strip all that bullshit away, man, and you boil it down to the meat, dude. Good win for Curtis Blades. Period.
Exactly. Solid, man. Anyone trying to critique him right now, they don't know what they're talking about.
Good fucking solid fucking technical win by fucking Curtis Blades, dude. That fight, dude, that was the fact that he can do that against heavyweights, man, no matter what size he is, just the fact that he can manhandle men that are the size of Alexander Volkov, you know, and the guys that, you know, Curtis Blades has beat, man, that's speaks to the pedigree of wrestling and how strong Curtis Blades is. Razor Blades, I'm not gonna step in there with you, bro, ever. So, I mean, that's fuck
that. yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. Definitely not. I had an idea. You know, you're talking about Volkov and Ngannou, and no one's really said for sure that Ngannou's going to get the next title shot after Stipe and DC. So, you know, Volkov didn't get finished. He took a little bump down the line, but why not make Volkov versus Ngannou? Let Curtis Blades, you know, he just fought Volkov. So maybe have them two fight, have Blades fight. I don't know. Let's see. Help me out here. What would be a good fight for him?
I mean, Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis.
Yeah, and Curtis has been calling out Derek Lewis lately too.
Derek Lewis has to fight against against Olenek, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
that's a tough fight for Derek Lewis.
Dude, it is a good fight for Derek Lewis, and I'm a huge Derek Lewis fan. So let me put that disclaimer up first. I'm a huge Derek Lewis fan. But Alexei Olenek, man, I mean, he's known as a grappler. But
he's game.
Dude, his last fight, I forgot who was it, Blagoy Ivanov?
I think so. Yeah.
With the titty holes in his chest.
Yeah, the booty hole in his chest. Yeah.
I may be wrong on that. Yeah, I might be wrong on that. But when Alexei Olenek lets his fucking hands go, bro, like when he lets his hands go, he cracks the fuck out of him, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's like old man strength. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he looks like a heavyweight Khabib.
Yeah.
He really does, dude. I mean, because when Alexei Olenek starts swinging those looping punches, those punches hurt. Those punches hurt, dude. And going to the ground, man. I mean, I don't think that Curtis Blaydes is a better grappler than Olenek, but Curtis Blaydes is a more explosive grappler versus Curtis Blaydes will shoot at space. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll shoot at space at you and take your feet off from under you versus Olenek will put you up against the cage and position
and stuff. Yeah.
And get you down. You know what I'm saying? So two different styles of grappling there, man. But that's a tough fight for Derek Lewis, dude. That's a tough fight for Derek Lewis. Because if he can't knock Olenek out, dude, he's in a world of trouble, dude. He's in a world of trouble.
Yeah, what you think? You're getting taken to the deep waters for sure.
Yeah. What you think, man?
I think truthfully, I'm probably gonna pick Olenek just because you don't see Olenek get knocked out clean. And, we've seen him get hurt, but that man's a grinder. He comes for you. He don't care. He'll be in your face the whole fight. And that pressure will kill Derek Lewis, I'm afraid. And especially if he gets, past the first, second round, we get late in the third, and Olenek gets in the ground, it's going to be a lot of trouble for Derek Lewis.
Yeah, Derek Lewis starts slowing down too, or playing possum, whatever it is that he does. Like that, this is not the fight to do that in because if Olenek senses, if he senses anything, like if he senses that you're tired, he's gonna pour. No matter how tired he is, he's gonna pour that shit on, dude. And that's the last thing I want is a bull like Alexei Olenek, like
coming after me when I'm tired.
Dude, like stay 50 feet, bro. Like get the fuck away, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like fuck that, dude. Dude, heavyweight. I don't know if it's just people are buzzing about heavyweight, or is it that everybody has kind of stepped up because we seen Ngannou go down and then he's come back up. We've seen Lewis go down. Now Lewis got to end up his belt. Just the level of competition, the level of talent has elevated, bro. But heavyweight is like a Shark Tank right now.
Yeah, it is. And like you were talking about people stepping up their game. It's become like a seesaw. Like you'll see these guys going on a tear, and then all of a sudden this other guy like Overeem, Overeem's last win was solid and against Walt Harris, and and then it's constant back and forth, and that's why we keep seeing Stipe and DC in the main event, and Francis just looming right under them because all these guys keep beating each other back and forth. I mean, it's stacked. It's got a lot of heavy competition. People sometimes complain about the heavyweight division not being like its glory days, like it used to be, with Frank Mir, Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin, Cain Velasquez, Dos Santos. But I mean, these guys are still here. They're still putting it on.
Yeah, man. And like, you get into a lot of those weird spaces at heavyweight too, because you have Blaydes, for instance, Blaydes and Ngannou, who they fought twice. They're both top 5 guys, and they fought twice, and Ngannou beat him 2 times. So when you have Curtis Blaydes, who goes out and wins every other fight that he's in, except the fights with Ngannou, it puts Blaydes in like a even weirder space than it does Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it puts him in a weird kind of dancing around the outside of the loop type thing, Right. So, I mean, I really hope that this showed that, Curtis Blaydes, those losses to Ngannou, man, I mean, anybody can. That's like losing to Amanda Nunes. Like anybody can lose to them. They're good. They're really, really good. And Ngannou hits really fucking hard. So I don't think that Curtis Blades losing to Ngannou really should implicate him much. You know, even though he didn't beat him, but anybody can lose to Ngannou, man. I mean, Rosenstruck has looked perfect since coming into the UFC. He got bulldozed in less than 10 seconds. So, I mean, it's like you never know, man. You just never know at light heavyweight. Well, not so much light heavyweight, but heavyweight, you just never know what's going to happen. Like,
I mean, you get such big guys with such immense power. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter. It's not really ever your rock. It's you're out. You know, one little mistake and you're cold. You're out cold. It's over. And, you know, talking about Ngannou and Blades again, I want to recap on the first fight. I thought Blades was leading in that fight, you know, and it was I think the end of the second round.
First fight, Blades, he looked good in that fight, dude.
Yeah. And they were both making their debut.
The second one that he got caught, but that first fight, dude, he was in it.
Yep. And, you know, I like Francis Ngannou a lot. I'll always watch him, but I don't think his game's really evolved since day one. I think he's the same person. He knows that he's going for the knockout, and that's what he's going for. He's going to try to do it quick. And, you know, to see Blades in their debut fight, you know, arguably be winning that fight and going later into the fight, you know, it's like the end of the second round. That's when they did the doctor stoppage for Blades' eye. To see that, it's like, okay, Blades can beat this man at any time. It's just Ngannou has that one switch, you know, he can just knock you out and it's over. It's like Conor was at featherweight. Like Chad Mendes was beating Conor, but Conor has that switch, you know, he can just flip it on you. So
for sure,
it's
dude.
not like Blades can't beat him.
Yeah, man, it's just that type of fight, you know. I mean, it's just that type of fight. But not to hamper on that heavyweight main event too much, but another fight that surprised me, and it probably didn't surprise a lot of other people, was the Josh Emmett Shane Burgos fight. That fight, you know, that fight to me was I felt like I was watching Gaethje Ferguson all over. Like I kind of got that vibe from that fight.
A little bit closer, but
right, a little bit closer for sure. Yeah, Shane Burgos was doing well, man. It was just he. And I won't even go as far as saying that Shane Burgos never got a chance to get into his rhythm, because he did. He had his moments in that fight. Yeah. It's just that the power of Josh Emmett, man, like that's what, like dude, when you have these crafty, technical, weird angle, hands down by the waist style fighters like Burgos, like what do you call him? What's his name?
Adesanya.
Adesanya, Tim Elliott, like those guys with that weird style of striking.
Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz. Like it's like their kryptonites are like those powerful strikers, man. Like those guys who may not be landing as many punches, may not be as fluid or as technical as the opponent. You know what I'm saying? The guy that is the weird, crazy style, but when they land those big shots, dude, it's just, dude, like I saw the blueprint of this fight like halfway through the first round. I was like, fuck, dude, like Burgos, and I'm a huge Burgos guy. Like Burgos has to stay on his bike, man. He's got to throw that jab. But you know, I think the biggest thing that I saw in that fight, dude, and I'm not a fighter, so I'm not trying to act like I'm whatever. You know, I'm just a fucking podcaster. But it felt like Burgos didn't use his reach advantage. Mm-mm. Like he was trying to get in the pocket and fight with Josh Emmett versus staying behind that jab, dude. I mean, he threw the jab a lot. Yeah. I feel like he wasn't throwing the jab at a place where he could hit Emmett and Emmett couldn't hit him. Right. He was throwing it very close to Josh Emmett. So all Josh Emmett had to do was counter. Yep. Yeah, he was just countering him to death. And I'm like, dude, use your fucking reach advantage. It's there.
And height. I mean, Shane Burgos is a big guy.
Say what?
I said Shane Burgos is a big guy for that division. I mean, he's tall. He's big.
He looked a weight class above Josh Emmett last night. I mean, the other night, dude. Like straight up looked a weight class above Josh Emmett, you know. But man, I was just hoping to see him. When I seen this matchup, I knew I was like, you know, this could be a tough fight. this could be a real tough fight for Shane Burgos, and then that's exactly what happened, man. This Josh Emmett, man, like he knew he had to keep stinging him over and over and over and over, you know. And I think that when the judges read when Bruce Buffer read the scores, and Shane Burgos heard the score of that third round, he was like,
"Uh-oh, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?" He was like, "Yeah." So, what you
and
take?
It seemed like most of the fight, like you were talking about, you know, Burgos wasn't really using his range. Most of what I saw from the fight was Burgos like trying to pressure Emmett.
Go ahead. I have to charge. Go ahead.
Okay. But it seemed like Burgos was having to pressure Josh Emmett towards the fence a lot. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, keep it in the circle. Like, you want to stay in the center. Let him stay outside of your range, like, you know, outside of his own range. And it seemed like he just kept pressuring towards the cage where Josh Emmett's back is against the wall. So, of course, he's got to fire back. And you're too close to him, and he's going to crack you.
Yeah, man. I just didn't understand. I'd like to know what Shane Burgos' game plan was coming into this fight, dude. Like, I'd really like to know how he was planning on beating Josh Emmett. You can't come in, man, and have these fucking. You can't get in the. If I'm fighting at 145 pounds and I'm Shane Burgos' size and I have the skill that Shane Burgos have, dude, I'm falling and I'm fighting somebody like Josh Emmett. I'm falling in love with the jab. I'm falling in love with the fucking jab, bro. And you're gonna eat this motherfucking jab all night long. That was, to me, I think that if he would have used the distance, threw that teep kick a little more, he threw it a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? He didn't throw it enough, man.
Right.
So what you think, man? So what's next for Shane Burgos? What's next for Josh Emmett? What's next for Shane Burgos?
Well,
I mean, that's a hard loss. That's a hard loss for Shane Burgos, but that really could be like what turns Shane Burgos
a moment for him to learn from. I think it's easier for Shane Burgos because I think what UFC will probably do is they'll probably give him, you know, just a outside top 15, maybe early top 15 type opponent. But Josh Emmett's a little bit harder because I don't know exactly where to place him because, you know, he lost to Jeremy Stephens, right? That was about 3 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right.
And, you know, he gets on tears and then he'll suffer a defeat. So it's just, he's faced a lot of people in that division. So right now I just kind of went blank on where to put him next, but it's just another top 10 opponent for Josh Emmett. You know, he's going to have to string together a lot more wins to get something significant, I feel like.
Yeah, man, he's got to do more. I'm still kind of surprised he beat Shane Burgos because in Shane's last few fights, dude, Shane has looked great. Yeah. Like I
don't think either one of the fighters' stock has really took a hit from that fight because they put on a show. They put on a really good show.
Nobody got finished. You know, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Right.
Another shocker on this card, bro. And after this, I want to get to the Austin Hubbard fight where the guy quit. But in the controversy surrounding that, I watched Helwani in DC today, and that's all they talked about. But dude, can we talk about Tecia Torres, bro? Listen, a lot of people didn't know who Brianna Van Buren was. Former Invicta champion. Brianna Van Buren has knockout fucking power. She's a dangerous young opponent. She's young. She's got a lot of steam behind her. She's a championship level fighter. You know what I'm saying? And Tecia Torres gave Brianna Van Buren something that she just could not handle. Like, I mean, this fight was in a way, you know, if you look at if you go by people, you know, if you judge people on their last couple of fights, if you look at Tecia Torres, you look at the last 3 fights of each, you know, and you look at Tecia Torres, how she's been dominated by former champions, and then you look at Brianna Van Buren, you would think, okay, they're feeding her this veteran. They're feeding her this veteran
who's been through war a bunch.
Right. This is her fight. This is the setup for her to take this fight.
Yeah.
And and then you look at Brianna Van Buren's tape. You're like, oh man, this girl is a killer. Dude. Tecia Torres was fast. Tecia Torres was big, like which what shocked me. Tecia Torres was big, dude, and she was just there, man. She did what she wanted to do in that fight. She had Brianna Van Buren stiffened up in the first round.
Yeah.
Like she was lost. She was lost.
Yeah, Tecia looked incredible, and I actually picked Tecia. I was like, she's due a win here soon because I know Tecia, and I know she's always game. I didn't mean like I know her personally, but like just watching her, I know that she's always game. She'll accept any opponent. She doesn't care, and she'll give it her best shot. And I mean, she was definitely Tiny Tornado Saturday night. I mean, she was everywhere in that fight.
Everywhere, dude. She dominated that fight from start to finish.
Yeah,
start to finish.
I think she was showing like, hey, I'm still a contender. Like I'm not, the number one contender or close to that, but I'm still a top 10 girl. Like I'm not someone you're going to feed me to, these young up and comers. I'm still here.
Well, before they paired her up with Brianna Van Buren, I was like, ooh, a good fight would be Tecia Torres and Mackenzie Dern. Then I seen her fight Brianna Van Buren. I said, okay, well maybe Mackenzie Dern need a couple more fights.
Yeah. Ticia's still a little too game for her, I think.
Yeah, dude, like Tecia Torres, man. Ooh wee. That was the best Tecia Torres we've seen in a long time, man.
A pretty good while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean she looked good in that fight. But of course, I don't care if my phone's dying. I gotta turn the camera back on, goddamn it. Here we go. Okay. Man, you know what I was waiting on, boy. You know what I was waiting on. Can you see me? Am I here?
Oh, yeah. I can see you.
Okay. Bro, I'm going to let you talk about it. I'm going to let you start it off. My girl, Jillian Robertson, goes out here and comes with a late round finish after 3 rounds of total domination over Courtney Casey, man. What did you take away from that fight?
I picked Jillian before the fight, and I thought it would be a close fight. I thought Courtney Casey would get the better of her on the stand-up, but I figured Jillian would get a couple takedowns, and she'd have a lot of control throughout the rounds. And I feel like that'd be the difference maker. I figured it'd be, something, 29-28. And I figured I didn't think Jillian would finish. Courtney Casey's pretty game, Courtney Casey's just one side. What's that?
You broke up for about 10 seconds.
Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
You didn't expect.
Oh, I didn't expect Jillian to put on that type of show. She just dominated from start to finish. And to see Jillian do that to Courtney Casey, this is her first fight back after her loss, right? To Maycee Barber. So to see her do that shows like, hey, no, that was just a hiccup in the road. I'm still coming. And for her to, Courtney Casey hung in there. Jillian was hunting for the submission from the start. But that shows that, in the third round to get that late sub, that shows Jillian's like, nah, I'm here the whole entire fight. Like you ain't gonna, knock off my confidence at all.
Can we say that was the best Jillian Robertson we've ever seen?
I would say so. To do it for 3 rounds like that, I would say, especially against someone as game as Courtney Casey.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I started having some of those same feelings before this fight, only because the same feelings I was having in the Maycee Barber fight, but only because of the size difference. I was like, okay, well, Maycee Barber is to be a former strawweight. Maycee Barber is a tank at 125 pounds. Like, she's probably the biggest. She's probably her and Lauren Murphy are probably the biggest flyweights in the division. And, so coming into this fight, then when I seen them at stare-offs, I was like, okay, Courtney Casey really ain't that much. She ain't that much bigger than Jillian Robertson. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really ain't, like, she's no bigger than Sarah Froda was. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not even that big. So when I became 100% confident after the weigh-ins, I was like, okay. I mean, like, Jillian should be able to get this fight to the ground. I mean, like, Courtney Casey Courtney Casey looks huge at 115 pounds, but she's really not that big at 125 pounds. Like compared
she's
to those
average.
flowers. Right, yeah, she fits right into the mold, but now Courtney Casey was getting the better of the exchanges on the feet. I mean, she landed a 3-piece combo that I thought was gonna put Jillian out. Like, I mean, it ended with an uppercut and it landed clean. I was like, whoa. But it was, to me, it's, one thing that Jillian Robertson has, man, and I said this on the video I made a couple videos back. I'm gonna stop trying to convince people how good Jillian Robertson is. Like, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna let it show for itself. It's her tenacity, man. Her tenacity. She goes and she goes and she goes and she goes.
Stop.
Dude, like, I mean, she just goes and goes and goes. And she's coming on Wednesday, and I just can't wait to hear her fucking talk about this fight, man. I cannot fucking wait to hear it, dude. And she, one thing that I saw, a lot of improvements in Jillian, man, is her willingness to stand and trade with you. And if you watch the strategy of what Jillian Robertson did, you know what I'm saying? No, she's not the best striker out there. She's not. We know that. But Jillian gonna strike with you long enough to get you close to that fence. Once you get close to that fence, she going for it, dude. And Courtney, in the third round, Courtney Casey started catching on to that Jillian was slowly pushing her back towards the fence. But what I saw from Jillian, which blew me away, Jillian rushed in, faking and feigning takedowns. Like, you got to watch it, dude. She only had 3 takedowns the whole fight. Takedown in round 1, takedown in round 2, takedown in round 3, and she controlled the rest of the rounds. Yep. Watch her entry into the takedown in the third round, dude. She come in. I mean, it was amazing work, and it just screamed Dean Thomas. She came in, she faked the takedown, and Courtney bit on the takedown thing. Jillian came up through a 1-2, and then faked again and threw a head kick. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. Like, what the fuck is happening? And then she got the takedown. I was like, yo, that's what you call taking lemons and making lemonade out of it. Dude, because Jillian knows that she's not a good striker. Like, she knows that. She knows this. But she's going to make you believe that she's going to want to stand and trade with you, and she's going to get you to the ground, dude. Very tricky strategy. Shout out to Dean Thomas, man. Like, shout out to Dean Thomas, because what he's doing, he's addressed the issues with Jillian Robertson. He's using it he's using her faults and turning it into an advantage in some sorts. You know what I'm saying? Or a way to get the fight to the ground, man. It's just, she looked amazing in that fight, bro.
It seems like she's recognizing how to win.
Yes.
In instances where she knows that, okay, I'm not going to get this girl down to the ground as quick as I can, so I'm going to have to play with her. I'm going to have to trick her, and I'm going to have to play with her mental. And for her, like you said, to do the feints, she knew that late in that fight that Courtney was going to bite on those feints because of the pressure that she had done in the first 2 rounds. And then she's like, it's just like Khabib with Conor. Like, again, you're expecting to take down so much, you leave yourself open, and next thing you know, you get cracked.
I guess you're fucking right, dude. I guess you're right. Because I just told you that you were right. I just explained how you were right. Now, I went on a tangent talking about Khabib striking,
being a great striker. Yeah.
I went on that tangent, you know what I'm saying? I said, no, fuck that. Don't credit it to the takedowns. He fucking landed that shot clean. But in the Jillian Robertson fight, man, it was right there in front of me. Like, she used it. She used the threat of she waited. She didn't rush in on Courtney Casey throwing strikes and feigning in rounds 1 and 2. She got the takedown. She actually solidified the takedown.
Showed the threat. Yeah, she showed her the threat. And it's not even a complaint or a criticism to say that about people like Jillian Robertson or Khabib, those type of grinders. It's a compliment, really, because that to recognize what you are weak at as a fighter and learn how to hide that and mask that weakness and cover up with it is incredible. I mean, yeah, and that shows how much of a threat you are at what you're good at, because if you can catch someone that is expecting you to just shoot for the takedown and you catch them up top I mean, that shows how much you are threatening them with your
Right.
specialty, you know.
Right.
So it's not even nothing to, you know, criticize over, because I mean, you look at those types of fighters, and you know, look at GSP was that type of fighter, really.
Yep.
Towards
Sure
the end.
was.
Towards the end, you know, he was such a threat at the ground for the takedown, because once he got you there, he's going to hold you there, and he's going to do just enough to, you know, where the ref doesn't stand y'all up. And
Right.
you know, that's how GSP was. So it takes nothing away for any kind of fighter to be that way at all, in my opinion.
And see this, and even I'm surprised, dude. And you know, Austin, you know more than anybody that I've been supporting Jillian Robinson since she came into the division, came into the UFC. But it surprised me, man, the changes that Jillian Robinson, and that's what it's about, man. And that's what I've been preaching, dude. That is what it's about. That is why I say things like, guys, I'm telling you, Jillian Robinson is a threat. She's a threat. When she makes adjustments, when she goes and sharpens her tools, man, and every time she loses, that's when you have to be more. I'm more nervous for Jillian Robinson when she's on a win streak, because I'm like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen, you know? Yeah. But when she's lost a fight, and then she comes back, it's a completely different Jillian Robinson. Yeah. And then somebody catches on to the newer Jillian Robinson, you know, and you know she's gonna bust into the rankings again. She'll probably be ranked number 15. They're probably going to put her at the lowest possible ranking that they can give her. You know, but it's time for I see it happening, dude. Comments on my videos, articles, posts. People are now starting to catch on to the threats coming at 125 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Roxanne Modafferi had momentum at 125 pounds, and Lauren Murphy just went out there and completely outclassed Roxanne Modafferi. And I'm not a fan of Lauren Murphy. You don't hear me ever talk about Lauren Murphy. You know, I'm not saying I don't like Lauren Murphy. She's just not one of the people that she hasn't fought De La Rosa. She hasn't fought Robertson. She hasn't fought Hagan. You know, she hasn't fought those type of people. But you know, people are now starting to be like, okay, we just saw 2 dominant flyweight performances on the same card. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we know Valentina is good. We know she's good, but
there are some contenders coming.
Right, yeah, like there are some contenders that are going to come at 125 pounds. And you got all different types. You got Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy going to, listen, she old school brawler. Lauren Murphy going to stand right there and she going to bang. That's just Lauren Murphy. You know, she going to stand and she going to bang. Jillian Robertson is going to come in. She's going to take you down.
She's going to pressure the hell out of you.
She's going to positionally dominate you until you fuck up, and she's going to choke you the fuck out. Yeah. De La Rosa is going to come in. She's going to box with you. She's going to stand and box with you because she always does. You know what I'm saying? She's going to throw that jab. She's going to stand and box. She's going to take you down, and she's going to beat the hell out of you on the ground. And, you know, there's contenders coming, man. You know, you got and as much as I don't want to say this name, but Maria Agapova, man, you got Agapova coming in. And, you know what I'm saying? Throwing bombs, knocking bitches out. You know what I'm saying? If Maria Agapova can put a streak together of performances like with Hannah Cyphers, she's a threat, bro.
Yeah.
She's a threat. You know, and I'm telling you, man, Valentina gonna have, if Valentina chooses to stick around in this division, which I think she will for as long as she needs to start getting to the good competition at 125, man, we're gonna start seeing a lot of good fights at 125 pounds, man.
A lot of good fights.
A lot of good fights at 125 pounds. And this new wave, this younger girls are flying in, they're flocking in. It's good. It's good, man. It's definitely good.
And it's good to see that. It's good to see that, you know, not just that Jillian and Lauren Murphy won, but just 2, you know, showcasings of 2 fighters from 125 division. Because, you know, we were asking ourselves, you know, a while back, you know, after Valentina's last win, we were like, you know, who's she going to fight next? You know,
right?
Who's coming up? And you don't like that. You don't want to think, who's next? You want to know, okay, we got this person. We got Jillian Robinson coming up. We got Agapova over here, who's just made her debut. You know, took care of business quick. I mean, like you said, De La
Cynthia
Rosa.
Calvillo.
Yeah.
Busting, yeah. And that sets up a rematch with her and Jillian. She has a win over Jillian Robertson. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was hoping to hear a call out, man, but if Jillian Robertson was to call out Cynthia Calvillo, man, and with the story behind that fight, Calvillo coming in, now the number one contender, Jillian Robertson, who was beat. I mean, Jillian Robertson has the most submissions in UFC women's history. Like she just captures.
She's a dangerous person on the ground.
You know what I'm saying? Like Jillian Robertson, man, if they were to make that fight, dude, I mean, Calvillo versus Robertson, then Robertson became the number one contender. Oh my God, dude. And as much as I don't believe in leapfrogging, I don't believe in leapfrogging, dude. But if that were to happen, bro, I would have to change my tune, bro.
She would definitely have to become like a top 5 ranked. And, I don't even think Jillian should be top 15. She belongs in the top 10, in my opinion, just with her skill set and what we have seen. And for her to take the losses that she has and bounce back, that shows her, like, she's up there, And just like Macy beat her, but, I mean, she can beat Macy any given day, too.
Macy can put any flyweight away if she catches you. And you know what I'm saying? Like Macy has that one. I mean, look at the fight with JJ Aldrich, man. JJ Aldrich was giving Macy Barber everything she can fucking handle.
Yeah. It wasn't looking good for Macy at first round.
One shot. And JJ Aldrich was discombobulated. So it's like, a loss to Macy Barber at 125 pounds, you can't knock Jillian too bad, man. You can't knock her too bad. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. It's a good win for Jillian Robinson. I'm glad she won.
For sure.
Let's see what's next. But, what really pissed me off was Courtney Casey. Courtney Casey, she grabbed Jillian's glove. I was talking to Jillian after the fight, and Jillian said she had her fingers in my glove, and I told the ref, and the ref said it was okay. She said and I said, well, what was that you said? She was like, I told him again, hey, her fingers are in my glove. She's cheating. And then after the fight, she said, Jillian said after the fight that she heard Courtney Casey tell she was mad at the corner advice that was coming from her when Jillian in that third round, right before the submission, they were telling Courtney Casey to do something. When she did it, Jillian sinked in the choke. You know what I'm saying? So she was blaming her corner for the bad advice, and she was complaining in between rounds that she was like, she's fucking heavy. She's fucking heavy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like that was after the first round. And then after the second round, she said, she's like a fucking blanket. I can't get the fuck up. Yeah. And, Jillian said she heard that. She heard her say that. Of course, Jillian's not going to react to it, but, that's how she knew that she was winning this. She had broke Courtney Casey mentally. I said, man, I never thought Courtney Casey would be a sore loser coming from the soccer round.
Yeah, and, that kind of reminds me of, next week's card. You got Poirier coming his first fight back since, losing to Khabib. And he was saying the same thing about Khabib. He was like, I can't get the guy off me. He's so heavy on top. He's like you said, he's like a blanket. And when you break someone that way in a fight, especially if someone that has a lot of willpower and a lot of mental edge, and you break them that way and you start making them point fingers, that's never a good look for a fighter. I mean, you take anything away from Conor, but the way he handles losses is pretty incredible.
Yeah,
especially like him, Dominic Cruz. The way those guys lose and they take it on the chin. They don't call out anybody. They don't say it's this person's fault or this person's fault. I miscalculated. It's on me. That's how you handle a loss. You don't point fingers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and that's what you saw. Like after Jillian lost to Macy Barber, she said, "I know the mistakes I made. It's my fault. I lost because of me.
Go back to the drawing board.
Man. Go ahead.
I said, just go back to the drawing board. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, what do you think about next week's card, man? Next week's card is good. It's good.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I think.
Oh yeah.
And that main event's going to be killer. Poirier and Hooker, come on with it. That's going to be incredible to watch. I mean, Dan Hooker and Paul Felder was awesome. This could be just as good, if not better, for real.
Yeah, but dude, Dan Hooker is dangerous.
Yeah. Especially for someone like Poirier who's coming off of a loss to the champion. Like, Poirier needs this win bad. Like
Yeah,
if he takes a loss here, that's going to hurt his stock pretty bad. Any hope
yeah,
of him trying to get a big fight against Ferguson or Conor or a rematch with Gaethje, that's going to go out the window if he doesn't win this fight.
yeah, man. And and as good as Dan Hooker is, and he's a very dangerous fighter. It's what worries me about Hooker is his chances at the very top. Like I look at his chances and I'm like, okay, Ferguson, Gaethje, Khabib, like even Poirier. It's like
It's tough fights for him.
Yeah, like
Paul
do I see him beating any of them? And then my answer is no.
And arguably Paul Felder. I mean, a lot of people thought Paul Felder won that fight against Hooker. So if you can't no discredit or no disrespect to Paul Felder, he's as tough as they come. But he's just not Justin Gaethje or Tony Ferguson. He's right under those guys. But if you can just barely get past him, you're going to have a lot of trouble at the top of the division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like those fighters are really good at nullifying size because that's what Dan Hooker has. He has a lot of size
and reach.
And Dustin Poirier has really grown into 155 pounds. Dustin Poirier is looking like a welterweight out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, they're good. Those guys, those high-level guys, man, size doesn't really matter. Size doesn't matter at all, dude, when you're talking about those guys who can fight, man. Those guys that's been doing this for a long time, like Gaethje, like Khabib, because, Khabib, he was smaller than Edson Barboza. He was smaller than a lot of the guys he's fought, you know what I'm saying? And completely nullified the reach, the striking, the stand-up.
Go back in the vault, Khabib when he fought Trujillo. I mean, Trujillo's a massive lightweight, and Khabib just dominated him. Yeah,
and just fucking dominated him. But one fight that I did want to ask you about, Austin, other than in our group chat, I wanted to ask you about Zabit versus Yair. I mean, who is it? Is it Zabit versus Yair?
Yeah. I'm very excited about that fight. We're going to find out for sure how game Yair is or Zabit, because Zabit's strung together a lot of good solid wins. Yair's got some good solid wins too, but he's got that loss against Edgar, and then he's got all of his little hiccups with the negotiation with the UFC. So, I mean, this is a big moment for both those guys. I mean, whoever wins is going to the top of featherweight. They're probably going to get the next shot.
Yeah, man, this fight right here, man. I feel like it could be a barn burner, kind of like, not saying it's going to go like this fight, but it's going to be entertaining, like Yair versus Korean Zombie.
It could be. Like it definitely could be.
It could be entertaining, like, not saying that it's going to be as one-sided as that fight was, because that fight was somewhat lopsided until the finish. So it's like, I feel like it's going to be like a barn burner for sure.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot like Zabit versus Calvin Kattar was. It'll be a lot like that. But I think it'll be a little bit more exciting than that fight. I mean, that fight was still exciting too, but I think it's going to be a lot flashier, I feel like. A lot more flash.
So who's going to make who miss, though? Who's going to make who miss?
They're both going to make each other miss, I think. They're both too good when it comes to the flashy stuff and the striking, the prowess. They're both too good. They're gonna make each other miss. I think Zabit will win, just like he did against. I think it'll look a lot like Zabit's win against Calvin was. But I think Yair will have a good showing, and Yair definitely can win. I mean, we saw Korean Zombie was pouring it on that man, and then 5th round, right at the buzzer, that elbow. I mean, Yair can do everything. He can do it.
He can do it. Like, Yair just, he should be called the highlight, man. He has some insane highlights, but that fight determines the next. That's the two dark horses at 145 pounds. To me, I think the two dark horses are Zabit and Yair.
And I think what helps them a lot too is if Max Holloway beats Volkanovski. If Holloway reclaims the title, because Holloway has beaten so many guys at featherweight, if he reclaims that title, that helps them because that'll be fresh faces for him, you know.
Yep.
Whereas Volkanovski, he's never faced Ortega, he's never faced Korean Zombie, which neither has Holloway. But you know, Volkanovski, you have a lot more options to run with, rather if Holloway, you know, recapture the title.
That fight itself is a tough one to call.
Yeah, because Holloway's not the type of guy to fight the same fight again. He's gonna try something different for sure.
But you know, just like I was saying about Burgos and Emmett, you know, the problem with those strikers, man, those strikers, those point fighters, man, you know, is the powerful striker, and we saw that in the Volkanovski and Holloway fight, man. I mean, power of Volkanovski was a huge problem for Max Holloway. It was a huge problem. But Max hung in there, man. You know, and sometimes those fighters win fights. Those pinpoint point fighters, they beat those powerful strikers. You know, they beat them. They outpoint them. They outmove them. They exhaust them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen that happen. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just have to see, man.
Just thinking, this just popped in my head. Volkanovski reminds me a lot of Yoel Romero, a small Yoel Romero. When you think about it, I mean, he's not obviously as explosive as Yoel because no one is. But when it comes to, like, the counter striking, the build, you know, he's short, stocky, built like a tank, cut up. They don't really put together, you know, Volkanovski nor Yoel puts together, like, long, lengthy combos. But when they crack you, they come for it, you know.
Yeah. When they hit you, man, you know, they hit you like Josh Emmett, man. When he was hitting Burgos, he was hitting him. And Burgos ate that shit. Like, I want to see Burgos become a little more defensively sound, man, because
he's gonna have to.
He was getting cracked. You know, Tony Ferguson.
He's lucky he didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Because we all know Josh Emmett has power.
Yeah, and Shane Burgos should have known that too. I mean, but I'm still gonna roll. I'm still gonna roll with Hurricane Shane, man. I like him. He's a good fighter. That was a good fight. So I mean, it is what it is, bro. I finally got the Jillian Robertson rant off my chest. I blew that load, bro.
Blew that load. Man, you're getting blue balls for a minute.
And she'll be on this Wednesday, guys. So everybody that watches this video, she will be on this Wednesday. Jillian the Savage Robertson will be here on No Filter MMA. So be looking forward to that because she is coming. She is coming. And all questions are being asked. I'm going to ask her where she fits in this division now versus the last time I asked her that. And I'm going to try to push a call out of Jillian Robertson, man. Like, I want Jillian to savagely call somebody out, man. I'm going to say, yo, Jillian, who is it? Who do you want next? Who is it?
Yeah, she's a savage, but I feel like she's a savage when that cage door locks. But outside that cage door, she's pretty sweet.
Yeah, dude.
She's so sweet talking. She's nice.
Outside of the cage, dude, she's that's what she told me. She goes, outside the cage, I'm back to the socially awkward Jillian Robertson. You know, she's like inside the cage, and dude, you could just see it. Like, if you watch that fight again, just look at her. Look at her face, dude. Like, when the camera's on, just look at her face, bro. She's just like, it's not like a mean face. It's just like she's in the fucking zone.
Yeah,
like
she's on a mission.
She's in the zone, dude. And fuck, dude. That's why, dude. I feel sort of like vindicated right now. You know what I'm saying? Because so many people were saying like Courtney Casey she has the momentum. Jillian's coming off of a loss. Jillian can't strike. Like, Courtney Casey's huge compared to Jillian. She's gonna run through Jillian Robertson. And I think half of the frustration coming from Courtney Casey was that she was expecting, because she said it before the fight.
She was hearing it. Yeah, she was hearing all that, and it got in her head.
She was looking for a quick finish of Jillian Robertson, and that's not how that fight went. Like, the furthest from that fight. So
right.
I'm excited. But that's all I got, man. That's all I got to talk about.
Yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely.
We got a lot off the table.
Say what?
I said I think we got a lot off the table.
Oh yeah, for sure, bro, for sure. So guys, I mean, you got my boy Austin. He doesn't make many appearances on here, but I try to get him whenever he wants to, man, for sure.
Oh yeah, I like to. It's just, man, life. You know how it is sometimes.
Yeah, man, we're normal people out here. We work every day, so no problem there. No problem there. But yeah, guys, be looking forward for Austin to make another appearance here soon. Hopefully, it won't be this long next time.
Hopefully not.
Well, we like to mix it up, guys. We'll be talking about these upcoming fights. We'll be covering it, guys. You get all your information right here on No Filter MMA. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and give my boy Austin a shout out. And we are out of here, y'all. Peace.
Peace.